14 inversions, 1 world record, endless hype. For over a decade, the Smiler has stood as one of the most iconic roller coasters in Europe, drawing thrill seekers from across the world. It's intense, it's relentless, and it's unlike anything else at Alton Towers. But does all of that make it a great roller coaster, or just a famous one? Ever since opening in 2013, the Smiler has become the face of Alton Towers. Its record-breaking 14 inversions, eerie marketing campaign, unmistakable soundtrack have made it one of the most recognisable roller coasters in the world. And don't get me wrong, this ride does a lot of things incredibly well. The theme is fantastic, the layout is creative, the visuals are unforgettable. But once you actually get on the ride, it's a disappointing experience. Because while the Smiler is undeniably unique, it's also rough, uncomfortable, and by the end of the experience, I don't find it particularly enjoyable anymore. So today, we're reviewing every aspect of the Smiler, from the theme and station to the ride experience itself, to answer one question: is the Smiler still one of the UK's best roller coasters, or is it overrated? Before you even board the Smiler, the attraction does a great job of setting the tone. The entire story revolves around a fictional mystery of joy, where the guests are subjected to a process known as marmalisation, a series of psychological correction techniques designed to leave everyone with a permanent smile. It's an unusual concept, but one that perfectly matches the ride's chaotic, disorientating nature. Walking into X Sector, it's immediately clear that this isn't meant to be a traditional roller coaster. The industrial setting, unsettling soundtrack, flashing lights, and the towering marmalised structure all work together to create an atmosphere that feels different from anything else at Alton Towers. Even the way the trains weave around the marmaliser makes it feel like you're part of the experiment rather than just riding it through some scenery. That said, I wouldn't call the theming world class. Compared to attractions from parks like Phantasialand or Universal, it's relatively simple, and a lot of the storytelling relies on the soundtrack, branding, and your imagination rather than the detailed environments. Some effects have also disappeared or no longer operate as intended, making the experience feel a little less immersive than it did when it first opened. Still, what makes the Smiler's theme so memorable is how well it complements the coaster itself. The relentless pacing, constant inversions, and scenery overload all reinforce the idea that you're being corrected through the experience. While the attraction's real-world history has inevitably changed the way many people look at it, Alton Towers has handled that sensitively in recent years, allowing the ride's original identity to remain without making light of what happened. It's not the most elaborate theme in the world, but it's distinctive, fits the attraction perfectly, and remains one of the strongest themed thrill coasters in the UK. With the theme setting the stage, the next part of the experience is the queue line, and while it's nothing revolutionary, it does a solid job of building anticipation. Rather than relying on heavily detailed scenery, the Smiler's queue puts itself at the centre of its experience. As you weave your way through the switchbacks, train constantly roar ahead, dive through the support, and twist around the marmaliser, giving you a close-up at just how tangled the layout really is. It's one of those queues where you're almost as entertained watching the ride as you are waiting to get onto it. That said, it's definitely showing its age in places. Large sections of the queue are fairly exposed to the elements, and on busy summer days, it can become quite uncomfortable. Outside of the soundtrack and occasional bits of theme signage, there also isn't a huge amount to keep you engaged during long waits. It's by no means a bad queue though. It fits the attraction, offers some fantastic views of the coaster in action, and does a good job of building anticipation before you finally step into the station. Stepping into the station, the atmosphere becomes more focused. The clean industrial aesthetic, combined with the stark lighting, warning graphics, and the constant soundtrack, makes it feel like you've finally entered the Ministry of Joy's correction facility. It's not packed with any expensive animatronics or elaborate set pieces, but it doesn't need to be. The station's simplicity actually works in its favour, creating a cold, clinical environment that fits the ride's unsettling concept. One of my favourite details is how close the action feels. Trains are constantly dispatching and returning, operators keep the pace moving, and there's a real sense of anticipation as you watch riders disappear round the first corner before hearing the familiar roar echo back through the buildings. It all adds to the excitement before you even leave the station. My only real criticism is that, much like the queue, it can feel a little tired compared to when the ride first opened. Some of the atmosphere has faded over the years, and it no longer has quite the same impact it once did. Even so, it's still a fitting start to the experience and does what it needs to, building anticipation before you're sent off to be corrected. Now it's time for the most important part, the ride itself. On paper, the Smiler is an engineering masterpiece. Standing 30 metres tall, reaching speeds of 85 kilometres an hour, stretching over 1,170 metres of track, and lasting 2 minutes and 45 seconds. It packs a world record 14 inversions, 2 chain lifts, and forces of up to 4.6 Gs. Even over a decade after opening, these stats are incredible. The ride gets you straight to the point. Before you've even reached the main hill, you're thrown through the first inversion, instantly setting the tone for what's to come. From there, the pacing is relentless. Inversion after inversion comes flying at you, with barely any time to recover. creating a ride that's completely different from almost anything else. The first half is definitely the strongest. Every element flows well, the inversions are surprisingly forceful, and the vertical lift is still one of the coolest elements on any UK coaster. Being pulled vertically into the sky before dropping back into the layout never gets old. Then come what are, in my opinion, the best moments on the ride, the 2 airtime hills. It's ironic that the best part of a coaster famous for its inversions isn't an inversion at all. Both hills deliver fantastic ejector airtime and are genuinely world class, providing a brief moment of weightlessness before the chaos continues. Fortunately, that's where my biggest criticisms begin. The Smiler was the prototype for the Gerstlauer's Infinity coaster model, and at times it shows. The bulky over-the-shoulder restraints aren't particularly comfortable, and as the ride's aged, it's developed a noticeable rattle that makes some transitions far less enjoyable than they should be. The final section is where it really loses me. After 12 inversions and almost 3 minutes of constant intensity, the last 2 inversions just feel rough and uncomfortable and unnecessary. Instead of ending with a satisfying finale, they leave me counting down until the breaks. That's what makes the Smiler so frustrating. Besides the roughness, it's one of the most creative coaster layouts ever built. The pacing, the vertical lift, and especially those airtime hills are all brilliant. But the uncomfortable restraints and increasingly rough ride stop it from reaching the level it should have. It's still a great coaster, but for me it falls short of truly being an elite one. So where does that leave the Smiler? For me, it's a coaster that's full of contradictions. It has one of the most unique themes in the UK, an incredibly creative layout, and some genuinely unforgettable moments. The vertical lift hill is iconic, the interaction with the Marmalizer is brilliant, and those 2 airtime hills are honestly some of the best moments on any UK roller coaster. But at the same time, it's a ride that doesn't quite live up to its potential. By potential, it could have lap bars, making it the best coaster in the UK, but it doesn't. The bulky over-the-shoulder restraints, the noticeable roughness, and the uncomfortable final few inversions all take away from what could have been from an incredible experience. Instead of getting off and wanting to queue again, I usually just get off thinking, I'm glad that's over. And that's what makes the Smiler so difficult to rank. It's a coaster that I massively respect, but not one that I genuinely love. I completely understand why some people have it as their number 1 coaster, but personally I can't overlook the comfort issues. Overall, I'm giving the Smiler a 6.5 out of 10. Although that is harsh, it is a Gerstlauer after all. That's also probably a lot lower than other enthusiasts would score it, but I think it's a fair reflection on my experience. It's still a good roller coaster and absolutely one that everyone should ride at least once, but for me, there are simply better coasters in the UK that I'd choose to re-ride. I'd probably place it somewhere around my top 7 UK coasters. That's still an impressive achievement considering the quality of rides we have, but it just misses out on that top tier. Of course, that is just my opinion. If the Smiler is your favourite coaster, I'd genuinely love to hear why. And if you agree with me, where would you rank it? Thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment down below what coaster I should review next.